just does. I mean, I don't know. You know, I can't
There is
give
no
a
text
page
which says
number.
that. There's no text. It's a belief imposed on the text. If I say, for example, the son is the daughter, would that make sense to you?
No,
Jesus.
it's not the same. You're making it sound the same, but it's not.
No, when you
say that, it's very convincing because, like, you know, you make someone look like an idiot.
No, what I'm saying, we have to stick to the text of the scripture, understand in context of any scripture. When we look at the scripture in context, we find in the Old Testament there is one being that is called. There's one being.
Steven Spielberg.
Sorry. There's one being that is constantly described as being God.
Okay.
Yeah, who's in heaven, and that being to the Jewish community.
I don't know, the way in which we view heaven, I think we think of it as like a place that you can like a tangible.
Not
thing,
earth, not earth.
But it's not.
It's not earth.
Made of any like matter.
Heaven is not earth, because when Jesus says, "Oh, our Father who art in heaven," so he was not saying who is on earth.
Fine, fine. But we use kind of constructs that we understand based on the fact that we've evolved on a planet. We think that there is something above us. We know that there's space.
So that's like I was mentioning.
That's what they describe. Look,
exactly. That's the only way we can
do we
understand
agree
it.
to understand God? We have to understand from the statements of prophets and messengers as they
I
can.
think a lot of this stuff, there's a lot of kind of metaphor and some rhetoric that like implies meaning and feeling that like we can relate to that might not necessarily be coherent with what you could say is definitive truth, right? There's a lot of.
Why would God, on this very point, why would God reveal about himself that people will be confused about?
Do you not? Okay, one thing I would say, if God could reveal everything about himself,
not everything.
I'm telling you right now,
whatever.
the human mind would not be able to comprehend all of it.
I agree with you 100% that whatever God reveals would make sense to us.
No, see, I disagree. Because I think that if God...
So God fails in communication.
No, he makes
Let me make an argument.
Okay.
Communication has three aspects, mainly.
Okay,
the sender, the recipient, and the message.
Okay, yeah.
For effective communication, the message needs to be delivered to the recipient and needs to be understood.
Yeah, but it needs to be, but it's very important. You mentioned the message itself, right? It needs to be translated into something that you can understand with the mental.
Doesn't matter whatever, it needs to be understood. If it's coming from,
really important.
but if it's coming, look, are you saying God doesn't know what we are able to understand, what we are not able to understand?
No, I think he knows.
So he does.
Than we do.
So would he send something about himself as information that we will not understand?
Particularly when it's in relation to God.
I'm saying that I think we would understand it, but whether it's the full truth,
Okay. কি বলছেন ভাই আমি কিছু তো বুঝতে পারছি না এতক্ষণ যে আপনি আমার সঙ্গে কথা বললেন আমি তো কিছু বুঝতে পারলাম না If I were to communicate to you to make you understand something,
you're quite famous, aren't you?
so what I've just spoken to you, actually I spoke to you in a language called Bangla, right? But you fail to understand every piece of it. So, if my purpose is to inform you about something, that you should understand it, I would make sure I choose vocabulary, words, sentence structure, you understand it. And if it comes from God, he will make sure, knowing your weakness and your deficiencies, that whatever he says, you understand it. So, the concept of Trinity, is that something that is easy to understand?
Yeah, I mean, it's made digestible, yeah.
It's not easy to understand. To me, it makes no sense.
Really?
To me, it's either no God or three gods. Partialism or three gods. So when we find, look, they find it very difficult because it's very convincing. So let me give you an example. How many human beings are right here now? One human being?
I don't know whether I
no,
like the argument.
It's not about an argument. It's about communication of a message.
But I think so. Going back to communication of a message, you can like a computer program, right, that does very complicated things. Like ChatGPT. Think about ChatGPT, right?
Yeah.
The way those large language models work. Do you understand how the code works perfectly? No.
I don't.
No, neither do I, right?
No, I don't.
There's somebody who does try to explain it to us in a text and could probably say in about, I don't know, 5 sentences how it works. You would have a functional understanding of how that thing would work without actually knowing the truth, the whole truth about the thing. That's what I think about the distinction about the message. So you try to simplify it by saying, oh, well, the message must be simple and the simplicity of it must therefore be the only truth. The whole
So
truth.
God...
It's the digestible version of the truth.
So if I understand from your example, God gives this message to selective individuals who understand this message and decodes it for the lay people. Or his message is universally achievable, attainable. Which one?
What's more
I don't
reasonable?
think it's either of those.
Sorry?
I don't think it's either of those.
Why not?
It can be binary.
So why is God, look, this is the question I really have, I want an answer from if you're a Christian.
Okay.
Why would God reveal information about himself that you don't even understand? It's a waste of communication, failure of communication.
That's very good counter. But what I would say is that whether it's not his responsibility to make us understand. He provides a certain set of information. Right?
It is.
That is available.
No,
it's
it
our
is.
responsibility to learn.
Because he's just and fair.
Hang on. But we have. Let's say he's put out all the information for us to, by our own means, learn and discern the truth. Right? You're not given it innately. You don't wake up age 5 knowing the full truth about God, do you? You didn't.
Can I respond to this very point? Imagine now.
I think I've already responded to
God.
Do you like that point? Or
No, I'm saying I think I've already responded to that point, i.e. that all human beings are given basic ways of determining truth.
that they develop over time in the kind of
No.
I think they do.
No, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Before human beings ever existed, right, on this earth, are we going to say that the law of non-contradiction was inapplicable?
No, wait, hang on. That's separate. Do you not agree that's separate, right?
No, I'll tell you why it's not separate. Because the law of non-contradiction would still hold true for things that exist in the world. You don't need human beings to come along to say, well, I'm going to now, like for instance, Aristotle, who's supposed to be the man who formalized the law of non-contradiction in the form of A and not A is false. But before Aristotle, are we saying the law of non-contradiction didn't exist?
Like saying gravity was invented by Isaac Newton. It wasn't. It's been around. It's just when you discover it, you formalise it.
Thank you very much. So you're making the point that I'm trying to make, which is that the law of non-contradiction, it is a universal law that we could even say goes back to the knowledge of God. Because why? God, being all-powerful, he can't exist in opposite ways at the same time. So that notion comes from whom? It doesn't come from thin air. It's implanted within us by God. God gives us what the Prophet Muhammad described as the fitrah, that primordial state that human beings are all born upon to understand basic truths.
But if you think of,
does that make sense?
Yeah, but like that's another way you can describe something that other people will have come upon. And say we talk about gravity, right? Like that's something that we can all kind of understand, right? But then someone like Isaac Newton comes along and kind of formalizes our understanding.
He formalizes it.
Right? You know, it still exists though. It's universal, right? The same way when it comes to knowledge.
Exactly.
And knowledge being something. Let's be honest. I think we all believe that knowledge is gained empirically. Do we all deny that? Do we
not only empirically.
Do we not think that most knowledge comes through experience and
No,
learning?
experience.
Do you not think,
Experience, sure, but
do you not think that your knowledge
experience
of
is
the
not necessarily
Quran
empirical.
has improved over time? Or your knowledge of the Quran has improved over time, no?
With empirical methods, we can gain knowledge, but that's not the only way.
Fine, but it's definitely a very useful way that we can learn information. So there's an element of progress,
of the natural world.
So
what's the base argument
my point
here?
is that we can improve in our knowledge and understanding.
So you're
of things,
saying that we can improve upon God?
No. Hang on. You're trying to. No, I'm saying we can improve in our own understanding of things in general.
Right, so this is what Mansoor's argument is, that if you claim something is God, whether it's Jesus, Ram, Krishna,
I think it's a separate point.
Whatever.
Sidetracking. But
no, it's not sidetracking. It comes down to the very root point, which is that your argument presumably is that I believe Jesus is God, and because Jesus is a God man, we're dealing with relativism. I'm saying as soon as you claim that something is God, it can't be reduced to the realms of relativism. It has to be judged by the realms of absolutism. Because why? God, like we said, has absolute attributes. When you claim God becomes a man, you can't say, oh, truth might be found in relativism. Jesus could be true God, but we won't really be able to know that because he's a man. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't escape the clause that you're claiming something that is weak and infallible as being God. So now you have to determine truth by the principles of absolutism, law of non-contradiction, etc. So when you say Jesus is God, you can't just run away now and say,
what does it even mean that statement is God? When I say something is something, what's the word is here? Is it is of identity or is of predication?
No, it's a very, very convincing argument.
Because that's where Latin Church, Trinitarian Church, social Trinitarians, Orthodox Christians and so on, they differ in terms of what they mean by relative identity or not identity at all, predication. So when you say the Father is God, Jesus is God, it's not the same thing. They don't use the word same thing.
So,
Because in that case, by the law of transitivity, the Father would be the Son. If it's by identity.
I think. Okay.
Do you follow that?
No, I 100% do follow that, because it's a very convincing argument. What you're saying is you're going, as soon as you claim that God is man, you've got two separate beings, right? And one, there has to be an element of causation,
by the mere use of
because,
language itself.
Because even the way we think about the Gregorian calendar, BC, AD, there's a 4 BC, September 4 BC is when Jesus is born,
yes.
right? Which means he's to some extent caused. And you say that God cannot be caused by his definition because of the, non-contradiction. What's the contradiction?
He can't be caused. He cannot be caused.
Cannot be caused, right? So contradiction terms, right? I'm saying that when we think about Jesus in terms of him being God, I'm saying that there's a lot of things we probably will not understand. I think that the way in which God operates, being something like in a dimension that isn't necessarily on our own, it has influence in our own, and I think that when God comes into being into our dimension, i.e. through when he's made flesh, I think that the trouble is it's very difficult for us to understand.
So you follow the school of Mysterianism. So your school is Mysterianism.
No, I don't like to think about it in terms of like schools.
No,
when
you
I make that claim, yeah.
But when we were to analytically understand what that statement means,
I think it's very difficult because we can't actually purely analyze it. Can we? Do you not agree?
The reason you're saying is you cannot understand God in any analytical way. That's what you're saying.
No,
but what we're saying
you said in any analytical way. That's the thing. I think you're using you're trying to make claims that I'm not actually saying. You're saying
fair enough.
Fair enough. It's kind of adding extra.
Fair enough.
I get it.
So do you believe in one God, right?
Yes. Okay. So
right.
I do believe.
What's the difference between one and two in one?
Well, I mean, have you seen those shower gels? They're 3 in 1. So,
is it the same?
Well, yeah, I think it is, supposedly, yeah. But no.
1 and 2 in 1 is the same?
No. So I think the way in which we view it, the way in which we approach it, I think is wrong. So the idea that it's kind of this 2-in-1 notion, I think it's something separate. I'm not a scholar or a theologian myself, so I probably am not articulating as well as I can be. But
when we identify things, we identify them as things that exist out there in the real world. I'm talking about things that exist out there in the real world. Extramental particulars.
Okay, yeah.
You're a particular. You're different and individuated from her.
Yeah.
She's different to me.
In a very physical way that we can see, whereas with God it's quite difficult to really bring that.
No. I'll tell you why it's not different.
Okay.
Because God is a thing, just as you're a thing.
Well, I don't know whether it can be like.
Then what is God? An entity is
beyond really our understanding. I think I'm not Mysterianism then.
Okay, no. It's not beyond understanding because either God exists or it doesn't exist.
No, hang on, but I think that's a simplification. Do you not agree? I think that it can exist in a way. Something can exist. Like
it is a simplification, but I'm saying
you understand basically how it works, but you don't know the full details of it, right?
No.
But you don't. I don't.
We know that ChatGPT is an entity that exists.
Yeah. Hang on. But when we talk about God, I'm just saying that God.
So why are you using ChatGPT as an analogy?
ChatGPT. I'm saying fine, but I'm saying that that's an example of something where you understand basically how it works, but you don't know everything about it.
But do you know what I've done here? I've
made
stripped
the
it
simpler.
Not simpler. Simplest.
Yeah, it's
I've stripped it down.
I don't think that's not necessarily the best way to get knowledge.
No, but then how? Then tell me.
It's really great.
One second. If it's Occam's razor and there's something simpler than God being a thing or not being a thing, tell me how Occam's razor makes it simpler.
Well, because you want to. Okay. So when you define God as a thing, it's easier because a thing causing other things makes more sense than something that's beyond our understanding causing a certain circumstance.
Something beyond our understanding.
Yes.
Right.
Greatly beyond our
understanding. Can you tell
us
what that is?
No, of course not. That's what I'm saying because it's incredibly difficult.
So therefore, you can't make a truth claim about something beyond our understanding.
I said so much is about faith, and it's not actually about knowledge.
No, my friend,
it's not actually about proving.
No, now you're conflating.
That's what I've said all along.
One second.
You tried to simplify it.
Faith is a truth claim.
Yeah.
Faith is not the fundamental here.
You can't verify it. You have faith, like for example, if I sit down on a chair, before I've sat down on it, the chair could fall out from under me, but I still sit on the chair based on faith.
Yes,
right?
and when you...
I can't verify. Once I verify, it's no longer faith, right?
So
I then know the chair will support my arms.
So is it a truth claim?
It's a truth claim after I put my arms on the chair.
One second. No, it's not. Because you're going to affirm that it's possible that the chair is going to collapse beneath me.
Okay.
That's a truth claim.
But
now, just one second. When you sit on the chair and the chair does not collapse.
That was literally what I just said, yeah.
No. It's a different truth claim.
Yes, exactly. That's what I just said.
Right, okay. So you recognize that there's... Okay, so So you recognize that faith can only is undergirded.
Prove it, right? You can't.
Faith is undergirded by you firstly having to make the truth claim of faith, and then once you made the truth claim of faith, you have to go by the laws of non-contradiction. So no matter which way you try and slice it, you can't escape this route. So if we talk about,
you articulate that further, because that sounds
so
a bit waffly in places.
Right, no, I don't think it's waffly, but I'll try and break it down as much as I can.
Please do. Yeah.
When we say God is a thing, and you say that Occam's razor could be applied, I don't know how it's going to be applied.
I didn't say that. I said that I think that you use it quite a lot to try and simplify things. I think I made myself clear on certain.
Okay, so let's leave Occam's razor out then.
Okay.
So when it comes to God, sure.
Yeah.
So which one makes more sense? One God who's self-sufficient, 3 in 1 God, 5 in 20, 2 in million. Which one makes sense?
Well, that's your Occam's razor bit that you're applying.
No, I'm not using Occam's razor.
It is. You're going it simpler.
I didn't say simpler.
But
I didn't imply simpler. I am saying concepts of God, which has all of these things within it. Right? If Trinity is real, then quinternity, 4 in 1, 5 in 1, whatever. What's the difference between them? Because what you're saying is we have to stop asking questions because it's all about mystery. So a Hindu comes along and says, that's my God. We believe in the Father God, the husband God, the wife God, the daughter God, the son God, and that's one God. Then you have no discussion with them. Because why? The discussion ends there because it's got beyond human comprehension.
And
as you said.
Claims.
Yep. So ultimately then it comes down to what? How do we then decide between complex, simple, ideas, convoluted, coherent, incoherent ideas of God? How do we decide? Is it because of some kind of, God-given, like he switches you on, that's it, and you believe?
No, I don't think so.
So what do we use then? No, what do we use to distinguish between these various belief concepts? A concept in which God is called Shiva, the husband God, Parvati, the wife God, and Ganesh, the son God. Okay?
Don't you need
this son God, what happened? You know what happened? Shiva went away saying God, saying God.
Is that kind of what he's saying?
God.
I just want to hear this point.
They're very uncomfortable when Muslims speaking to Christians because Muslims make sense every time,
Come on,
right?
so
you make your own decision. You don't have to worry about the hecklers around.
I was just trying to clarify.
Shiva or Sheeb, leaves Parvati, his wife. We're talking about God, right?
We're getting a little bit sidetracked here.
No. What I'm saying,
okay.
okay. I'll finish it. Does that concept of God appeal to you? Husband God, wife God, and a son God?
Would you like to
I think it's a bit arrogant to kind of reduce it to a point where you can, like, if you're trying to use logic, purely logic.
I didn't say logic. I said, does it appeal to you?
Hang on. Before I say something that might be might make me look a bit of a fool here, what I would like to say is that I think that there should be a lot of emphasis on religion about our own personal relationship with God.
Right.
So if you see it as something, so I believe that we should be tolerant. We should have an understanding that people can worship in many ways, and ways that I think that religion is a great a tool of. In the different religions, there are many different ways we can go about approaching worship, right? And I think that's a lot of the issues we have with religion is we believe there's one true way or one proper way, and we try and use logic, we try and simplify it, and I think it causes a lot of friction, it causes a lot of issues. So I think one thing that I like to believe, and I don't know what school I fit into or what box you want to put me in.
Universalist.
Well, there we go, fantastic, there's a box for me then.
You're saying everyone can believe in God in any way, shape they like?
No, but
that's what you say. Because
hang on.
Because you said
hang on.
There is no difference in truth claim between them.
No, hang on. I'm saying that the best way you can go about approaching it is using all of the cognitive faculties that we've been given by God and our own
information available
to find the best answer that works, or whatever that
How
might
do we
be,
determine
right?
the best?
This is the great mystery, isn't it? Because I don't necessarily believe that the simplest, the Occam's razor approach is the best. I'm not saying I have all of the answers, but I'm saying that sometimes, and we see it, because I've seen a lot of the videos online, and I think
okay,
great
so
stuff.
not simplest, but does it have to make sense?
Well, this is the point: is that we don't have to fully understand it. Same way I use with ChatGPT, right?
It doesn't have to make sense.
It can, in some
So
respects,
therefore,
make
truth
sense.
can be found in contradictions. Yes. That's the invariable conclusion to your argument.
I'm saying it doesn't have to be contradictory. You'll make it sound like it's contradictory. You're trying to make it sound contradictory.
But if it was contradictory, would it be true?
What do you mean? No, that's...
Like God is
No,
caused
right?
and uncaused.
But
Would that concept of God be true?
Obviously it wouldn't, but
Not
that's what I'm
Christianity.
trying to say.
Forget Christianity.
Wait, what do you believe?
In a belief system,
Christian, I find it quite difficult to kind of articulate myself.
Right, okay.
You know, I've been Christian, but I've been Christian for a while, but I'm not as versed as I probably should be in the Bible. So on these kind of...
That's fine. How about yourself? Are you Muslim?
We've been here
Why
for
not?
I was raised for that religion.
Okay. Do you believe in God?
thinking on my feet a little bit, to be honest.
Okay.
Probably a bit out of my depth.
I think the
So you must have
that they're asking has got to do with
an explanation
revelation.
about why things exist
The only way that we
and
can
why
get
they
to
exist
God
as
is
they
God
are.
reveals himself to us.
Because anything
That's
that
the most
exists
important
requires an
way that God is
explanation.
communicating to us.
So
Which
our
for us is
universe,
really good because
it exists, you and I exist.
Jesus
What's the
Christ
best
came
explanation for its
incarnate in the flesh.
existence? What is it grounded on? If it's not God.
I don't know, I'm trying to figure that out for myself, what I believe in based on
I
that.
know you guys are in a
he's
hurry
revealed
to leave,
himself.
but there's one verse in the Quran where one of the companions of the Prophet, when he heard this verse revealed, he said that although he had faith in his heart, it was at that moment where faith came and it became established within his heart. The verse says, were they
Come again
created by
another time
nothing?
here.
Did they create themselves?
If you-
Were they the
if
creators
you're
of the
free
universe?
again,
Nay, the
come
ones who
another
deny
Sunday.
God's existence, they have no certainty. Meaning, nothing can't bring about something.
Read the Quran,
Something,
Bible.
there's something that
just read.
brings everything
Yeah,
about.
come on another
It
time.
can't be our mother and
with
father.
more time and we
And it certainly
chat
can't be us because we're part of the universe. The invariable conclusion is that this being,
They increase over time.
this thing that brought the universe into existence, it has to be a being of immense power, energy, knowledge, wisdom, volition. All of these attributes point to
You are
that
faithfully
being
espousing
alive
your own
rather
opinion
than
and views,
being
and that's what's matter.
a mechanical,
You're not parroting,
mechanism
but
that
you are explaining
operates through
things which
chance.
make sense to you.
That's how the verse refutes the claim that there must be a God as opposed to there not
I
being.
said to Mansour when he
Were they
walked
created by
over,
nothing? Did they create themselves? Were they the creators of the universe?
is
Nay,
you
they
are
have no
actually
certainty.
having a sincere conversation. You don't agree at the end, you don't have to agree at the end, but you were listening.
No, but you've been very interesting, very, honestly.
And you were respectful
Yeah,
the
that
whole
was
time.
respectful to listen to.
Yeah. As Muslims, we don't.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we have our
as a respect
traditions and
to
we have
you.
religion.
No worries.
I would just see what you guys want to show.
All the best, guys. Thank you for your time. All the best.
وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين.
He was claiming that Jesus is God, right? He was saying that Jesus is God, right?
Yeah.
So he believes Jesus is God. I would just